Good morning, guys. I'm just going to go over a couple of things that I would have done in the live lesson. Sorry that we couldn't have class today. We're looking at 11.4. I know we did a lot of detective work, when it comes to reconciliations in 11.1 and in 11.2. The same thing is going to happen now. The debtors ledger control, the debtors control account in the general ledger is not matching the balance like it should in the debtors ledger, right? This amount should add up to this amount, or at least this amount minus this amount. But it doesn't, and we need to figure out why. Okay, that is our job. Let's have a look at each of these transactions, understanding where and how they need to affect the different things, either debtors control or the debtors list. Now, how do you know if something affects the debtors control account or the debtors list? Well, at the end of the day, a transaction starts their life in going into the debtors journal. Now, if they incorrectly do something about the transaction being posted into the journal, then everything will be wrong. Okay, if it's not right in the journal, it will affect everything, the debtors list as well as the debtors control account. Okay, from now on, I won't say debtors control account in the debtors ledger. Just remember, debtors control, that is in the general ledger, and then the debtors list is from the debtors ledger. Okay, keep that in mind. So if something affects the journals, it's incorrectly posted to the first initial journal, then everything will be wrong, right? But if there's something wrong with a total from the journal, then it's only going to affect the ledger. The ledger deals with totals, right? Totals. If there is something that is wrong with an individual account, and it's not because the journal itself is wrong, then it will only affect the debtors list. Okay, individual things, transactions that affect an individual only will only affect the debtors list. But let's go through a couple examples. The best way to do it is through practice, right? Number one, a sales invoice for goods sold to Kempter for 620 as was incorrectly recorded in the debtors journal as 6,200 Rand. So remember, the debtors journal is the start, the peak of the mountain before everything trickles down into the debtors ledger or the general ledger, right? Transactions start their life in the journal, and it seems like the journal itself is wrong, and therefore it's going to affect the debtors ledger as well as the debtors journal. Kempter, there it is. Oh, the difference is 5580. As you can see, when we sold in goods, we thought it was 62, but it was incorrectly recorded as 6,200. So we need to decrease. He doesn't actually owe us 6,200, right? He owes us the difference between the two. He only owes us 620 Rand. So we need to subtract 6,200 minus 620. That gives us 5580. And that's why we are decreasing his account. He doesn't owe us that amount of money. Same thing with the sales. This person doesn't owe us 6,200 Rand, only 620 Rand. That's why we're taking it off the sales amount, because the journal, the initial point, was incorrect. Number two, the bank returned Miller's check of 260, right? Dishonored insufficient funds. We've heard it all before. The bookkeeper posted this amount to the credit side of his account by mistake. So it should not be on the credit side. Here it is, Miller. And they're not talking about that journal being wrong. Can you guys see this is an individual problem with Miller's account? And because of that, it will only affect the debtors list. I'll be waiting with your questions on WhatsApp. Please ask me any question on WhatsApp on the classification of anything. If I need to explain it in a different way, please ask. I can. The bookkeeper posted the amount to the credit side, so we need to take it off the credit side by debiting 260 on the debit side, but then we still need to put 260 on the debit side. If you only debit 260, it's going to get us to 0, right? We need to add another 260. So in the debtors ledger, you can see in the answer over here, It's plus 520, technically, right? To get it back to 260 on this side. It's a double up, right? 260 on the debit side. Number 3, the debtor's allowance journal was overcost by 200. Can you see? This is a total of a journal, and therefore it should only affect the debtor's control account. No individual person is being affected by this. The total that was added up incorrectly, and therefore it will only affect the debtor's control account. Let's have a look at that answer. There it is. Debtor's allowance. The total needs to be undercost by 200 because they say it's overcost by 200. It's 200 Rand too much. Number 4. A payment of 2250 received from Naker was not entered into the relevant journal. Okay, so we received this money, 2250, but keep in mind that the receipt also had a discount of 250 attached to it. So we may have received 2250, but the total that was taken off his account was the 2250 plus the discount that we gave the person. Okay, that needs to be reversed. Oh no, sorry, not reversed, my bad. It was not entered into the journal, so it needs to be entered still. It's like into the actual journal itself. So it needs to affect the debtors control and the debtors list. It wasn't transacted at all. It wasn't posted at all. So let's have a look at that answer. But keep in mind that what we are adding to bank and discount allowed is the 2250 plus the 250. Let's have a look at that. There it is, 2,500. It's going on the debit side. Why? Because this person is giving us money to decrease the account, decreasing our asset debtors control by 2,500. Not 2,250. It's bank and discount allowed, and here is your discount allowed, 250 bucks. Added together gives you the 2,500. The account of Charamba was incorrectly balanced. The balance should be 8774 and not 7884. This is an individual account that needs to be changed. 890. You see, it's got nothing to do with the debtors control. It's an individual account that was done incorrectly. This person's balance is incorrect and we have to change it. But the totals are fine in terms of the debtors control. Just an individual this time. Number 6, and as you can see, yes, I've shown, there's the 890, right? It was too little. Included in the receipts for debtors, meaning cash receipts journal. In the cash receipts journal total, there is an amount of 320 Rand, which was received from a debtor whose account was previously written off as uncollectible. If a person's account is written off uncollectible, they are not a debtor to us anymore, and they can never be a debtor again. They are black market their photos on the back of the wall, just in case they want to come back into the shop. They are not allowed. But this person has a conscience. They came back into the store just to pay off their account because they felt sorry for us. So they gave us the 320, but it is a mistake to take that off the bank and discount allowed, because you did that already when you made this a bad debt. You took the 320 off a long time ago because this was a bad debt, remember? 320 was added to bank and discount allowed. It was taken off the debtors control amount. They didn't owe us that money anymore because we thought they were insolvent, the 320. But the accountant added the 320, as you can see over here, to the 64728. He thought it was part of debtors control. So he added it there, 320, and he added it to the bank and discount allowed. We know that it's not supposed to be part of debtors control at all. It's actually, remember, I think we've done it already. It's called bad debts recovered. It's a new income that we make a completely new income for this 320. It's got nothing to do with debtors control. So if you see something about including the receipts of debtors or something, you know it's wrong. And that's what you need to do. You need to take it out. Take the 320 out of bank and discount allowed, because that's what the accountant did. It was included in the receipts. Take it out of a bank and discount allowed. It's not supposed to be there, and add it to bad debts recovered. We're not doing that at the moment, but that's where we should have gone, to a completely different income stream, 320. Because as soon as somebody's insolvent, they've got nothing to do with bad debt. As soon as somebody's insolvent, they are bad debt and they have nothing to do with debtors control. They're not a client of ours anymore. Okay, so it shouldn't have anything to do with debtors control at all. And that's why we are correcting this error. Okay, so there's all the things that you needed to know in terms of what these amounts are. Please talk to me if any of these things in brackets are not making any sense. They should. I'm going to quickly scroll to 11.5. Very important question, guys. Please try and do 11.5 blind. Give yourself, I would say 10 minutes. There's 10 points. Give yourself a minute. Do it fast. Do it under time pressure so that you actually can see if you actually know what's going on. And then move on to 11.6 afterwards. I'll even scroll down to 11.6. So just so you can see what the answer is. Now you're recreating the creditors control account. Very important. They're asking you this type of question in a different type of way. Please have a look. We won't have time to go through it. Next week we'll be looking at different work. Okay, so for 11.5, let's just go over what they're asking, what they need from us. Is that going to be on the next page? It seems like it. Here we go. Okay, so they give you an example over here. Debtors, how does it affect the debtors control account and how does it affect the debtors list? It's a very nice one just to clarify that you know where it goes or if it affects both. Okay, let's start. An amount of 106 received from P was posted to the credit side of the account, which is correct. I don't think we need to do anything for that first one. Somebody gave us money, an amount was received from this person, a letter, and was posted to the credit side of the account. Yeah. As soon as we receive money, debtors control gets smaller. And it looks like they do that. It's like they're cancelling each other out. 136 Rand, 136 Rand. I would have just done nothing. This isn't an error. Once again, red herring, guys. Watch out for it. Don't expect to always do something. 99% of the time it could happen, but over here, you could have said it's unaffected instead of writing 136 twice, which cancels it out. Okay, I would have also accepted no error for number one. Okay. The debtors list was overcast by 700. Once again, it's a total. Got nothing to do with an individual account, and it can only affect the debtors control. Oh no, sorry, the total of a debtors list. So they're actually talking about the debtors list. My bad. If this was a debtors allowance journal, if this was any type of journal that is overcast, then it would be a debtors control. But like me and like many students, we sometimes misread. I was just making sure that you are reading the question. It's debtors list. Okay. So this specifically, they're actually talking about the debtors list, not any journal. I read it wrong, and it can only affect the debtors list because that's actually quite easy. They are talking about the debtors list itself. Number 3, the total of the sales column in the DJ. There we go. Debtors journal, total undercast by 106 can only affect the debtors control account. Great. A credit invoice of 500 for goods sold to Vuthela was not entered into DJ. It wasn't entered into the debtors journal. Remember, every transaction starts their life in the debtors journal. And if it's not there, it affects everything. Everything. So number 4 is everything, both sides. Number 5, a credit balance on the account of SFOS is as a result of 200 Rand received from him after his account had been written off. Just this is the last transaction in the previous question again. Right? Once again, somebody's come back with their conscience. We've already written them off. They are bad debt. We don't want them here. But then they came into the store anyway and gave us a 200 Rand. And they're telling us the amount is included in the debtors control column of the CRJ. Therefore, it is definitely going to affect both, because it's an individual account of SFOS as well as the total column in the debtors control account in the CRJ is also not right. Therefore, it will affect both. A credit invoice of 430 was correctly entered into the DJ. Great stuff. Won't have anything to do with the debtors control account, but individually it was done wrong, as you can see. In the individual account, it was done wrong, and therefore it will only affect the debtors list. Pardon? The account of Prickly was balanced incorrectly, so this person's individual account is not right, and therefore only affects Prickly's account in the debtors list. Number 8, the balance of 50 Rand owed by P. Leo was omitted from the debtors list. Once again, it's only got something to do with the debtors list. There we go. A credit note for goods returned by Wiseman for 200 Rand was entered into the debtors allowance journal twice and posted as such. There we go. You start your life off in the journal. If the journal is wrong, the first transaction is wrong, it's going to affect everybody. Therefore, it's going to be 200 Rand in the opposite direction. I'm not too concerned about the numbers or the actual where they are going. You can speak to me if that's not making sense. I'm just going through the understanding behind why we are debiting or crediting the debtors list or the debtors control account. A dishonored check for 135 Rand was received together with a bank statement. This check was received from A. Advin in settlement of his account of 150 Rand. Whoa. His account's 150 Rand. He gave us 135 Rand. Just keep it in your mind that it's not the same. We gave this person a discount. Okay? Keep in mind, when you see something like this, dishonored check is not the same as whatever the account total is. There's always going to be a discount. And you in matric, that's always going to happen. There's always going to be a discount, guys. Okay? Keep that in mind. When they give you some kind of question like that, grade 11 maybe, they'll tell you 135 and 135. Not in matric. There will be a discount and you need to treat it as such. There will always be one. What are they saying? The entries have not yet made it into any of the journals. Well, therefore, it's going to affect everything. You're not in a journal, you're affecting everything. And there we go. But keep in mind, we understand that 150 Rand is coming off the debtors list, the total, right? But when we're looking at the debtors control account, make sure you split it up. 135 Rand will come from the CPJ, right? Bank, RD check. But the 15 Rand, the discount, remember, we would take that through the general journal because no money is being exchanged. So in terms of the journal for that, it will be a journal debit from the general journal, right? From the general journal. Anything from the general journal, we call it a journal debit or a journal credit. That's why it's split up here, guys. Don't forget, they only gave us 135 Rand. So only 135 Rand will go to bank or will affect the CPJ. 15 Rand that we took off this guy's account. No money was actually exchanged for that. And that does not qualify for the CPJ then. That 15 Rand must go through the general journal and split up as such. Don't worry about it in the debtors list because we're worried about totals of individual accounts. 150 is coming off that guy's account anyway. Or it's being added back because of the dishonored check. 150 added back to debtors control. Over here, we've got to split it up. Okay. There is a discount portion and there is an actual dishonored check portion. Okay. Make sure you split it up to get the proper marks. Okay, guys. Make sure you go through 11.6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then speak to me about anything that's troubling you. We will be starting on some new work next week, but I think that will be the last new work for the term, and then we'll start revision. So also keep in mind and WhatsApp me about activities that are troubling you, that we can focus on in our revision sections. Okay, have a good weekend, guys. Cheers.